A cursed eye that sees more than just the world. A friend slowly turning into a monster, and a town swallowed by ancient spirits forgotten by time. This isn't your average supernatural anime. This is Dan Day Dan Season 2, a story where exorcisms hit like explosions, trauma turns into real monsters, and friendship might be the only thing standing between salvation and total spiritual meltdown. Buckle up, because what started as a quirky hunt for ghosts is now a full-blown war against the darkness within. The eerie calm of a remote hot spring town hides something far more sinister beneath its surface. Momo, Okarun, and their new companion Jiji arrive expecting to investigate local paranormal rumors. But what starts as a supernatural curiosity quickly mutates into a deadly nightmare. On the surface, the town seems ordinary, quaint, quiet, and soaked in natural steam. Yet, Momo feels it immediately. The air is heavy with something unnatural. While exploring the town's abandoned buildings, they stumble upon an ancient bathhouse. The structure is in ruins, but something about it draws Jiji in. His right eye begins to throb, and strange visions blur his vision. Twisted, disjointed images of screaming faces, fire, and an overwhelming rage. At first, he hides it from the others, brushing it off as fatigue. But the audience knows something has taken root inside of him. That night, as the group relaxes in the hot springs, a spectral presence slithers through the mist. Momo sees it first, a shadow twisting in the steam, eyes glowing red. When she tries to chase it, it vanishes, but not before whispering a phrase. The vessel has opened. Okarun jokes to lighten the mood, but Momo's unease only deepens. Jiji, meanwhile, excuses himself early and collapses in his room, writhing in pain as his right eye glows unnaturally. In a terrifying sequence, Jiji loses control of his body. His eye pulses violently, distorting his face, stretching it into something inhuman. In the mirror, he sees himself transforming, his skin bubbling, veins blackening, and his right eye now a portal into something ancient and angry. The entity inside him, Evil Eye, takes over. Jiji's body contorts and floats, and the room is torn apart by a supernatural force. The next morning, he acts strangely calm. Too calm. He tells the others he's just tired, but his voice is hollow, and he avoids eye contact. When they visit a local shrine to investigate the town's spiritual history, Jiji starts to mutter in an unknown language. Momo catches this and confronts him, but he snaps at her angrily, almost violently, before quickly apologizing. But the damage is done. Momo and Okarun both realize something is deeply wrong. They consult a local priestess who reveals the legend of the Evil Eye, a cursed spirit born from deep emotional trauma and hatred. It is said to reside in ancient eyes, waiting for a host to possess and exact vengeance on the living. The symptoms match Jiji's exactly. But there's a catch. Once fully possessed, the host's consciousness is erased forever. They rush back to the inn, but it's too late. Jiji is gone. In his place stands something monstrous. The creature looks like Jiji, but is taller, warped, with a burning eye and an aura that shatters windows and sets wood ablaze just by proximity. The Evil Eye is now in full control, and it sees Momo and Okarun as threats. The battle erupts violently. Okarun unleashes his turbo-powered speed, darting between furniture and hurling objects to distract the monster. Momo summons her spiritual energy, coating her fists in glowing talismans and attempting to reach through to her friend. But Evil Eye is fast, vicious, and unrelenting. His attacks aren't random, they're calculated, aimed to kill. The fight rips through the inn, sending debris flying and warping the ground. Momo takes a direct hit and crashes through a wall. Okarun grabs her just in time before a beam of dark energy splits the floor where she landed. She's bleeding, winded, but still determined. "He's still in there," she gasps. "I know it." In a desperate gambit, Momo uses a charm that allows her to enter the subconscious of the possessed. She dives into Jiji's inner world, an abstract realm filled with floating memories and distorted echoes of his voice. There, she finds him, curled in a corner, consumed by fear and regret. The evil eye's grip on him is strong, forged through a lifetime of bottled-up pain. Momo reaches out, reliving flashes of Jiji's childhood bullying, abandonment, self-doubt, and finally, his guilt for being a burden. Momo pleads with him. She reminds him of their friendship, their laughter, their shared meals and late-night talks. The warmth of human connection slowly seeps into the void. Jiji lifts his head, and the world begins to crack apart. Momo is forcibly ejected from the realm, screaming his name. Outside, Evil Eye falters. His movements glitch. His body trembles. For a moment, Jiji's voice surfaces, distorted but real. "I don't want to hurt anyone." Momo and Okarun know this is their only chance. Evil Eye stumbles, momentarily disoriented. The tremor in Jiji's voice offers Momo and Okarun a sliver of hope, but it's short-lived. The spirit reasserts control violently, screaming through Jiji's mouth with a distorted howl that echoes. Across the town, the battle resumes, fiercer than before. The creature's attacks become erratic, fueled by rage and fear, hurling chunks of the earth with telekinetic bursts and emitting shockwaves that warp the air. Okarun pushes his powers to the limit, blurring through space in an effort to distract Evil Eye. His body is battered, his spirit strained, but he keeps moving. Momo, meanwhile, focuses her spiritual energy into a purifying charm, drawing on everything she learned from Granny Seiko. Her plan is risky. Get close enough to place the charm directly on the cursed eye. One clean hit. One chance. They coordinate. With silent precision, Okarun launches forward with a feint, baiting Evil Eye to strike. Momo leaps through the dust cloud, charm in hand, her heart thundering. She lands it right over Jiji's right eye. There's a brilliant flash of light and a scream that is neither human nor spirit. Evil Eye recoils, body convulsing, and collapses to the ground. But instead of banishing the entity, the charm causes a split. A second monstrous version of Jiji begins to emerge from his body larger, grotesque with a gaping eyelight maw in its chest. The priestess's warning echoes in Momo's mind. The Evil Eye is not one spirit. It is many, layered in centuries of pain. Now fully separated from Jiji, the creature becomes even more dangerous. It mutates rapidly, forming new limbs, tendrils of curse energy lashing out in all directions. The entire mountain quakes. The spiritual force draws in dormant yokai from the region, awakening other ancient curses that begin to converge on the site. The townspeople are evacuated, and the town's protective barrier, set long ago by ancient shamans, begins to glow. The priestess arrives with backup, spiritual monks, exorcists, even yokai hunters. But none of them expected the scale of what they now face. Jiji, weak and barely conscious, watches from the sidelines, gripped by guilt. He can't move. He sees Momo fighting with everything she has bruised, bloodied, but refusing to fall. Okarun is locked in battle with a secondary yokai that's latched onto the Evil Eye's chaotic energy. It's a war zone, the sky darkened by swirling spiritual storms, the ground scorched by every blast. Within the chaos, the narrative shifts inward to Jiji's inner turmoil. We see flashbacks, his parents leaving him, classmates mocking him, his helplessness during his mother's illness. These aren't random memories. They are the roots of his pain, the very emotions the Evil Eye fed upon. Jiji realizes he invited the spirit in not knowingly, but through years of self-hatred and suppressed rage. Back in the present, Momo is knocked unconscious by a violent strike. Evil Eye looms over her, about to deliver a fatal blow. Jiji, trembling, forces himself up. His legs feel like lead. His lungs burn. But something inside him breaks and reforms. He screams, rushing toward the monster, placing himself between Momo and the blow. He takes the hit directly, but instead of being destroyed, his body glows. A new spiritual resonance awakens within him, born not from rage, but from acceptance. He finally confronts the spirit, not with resistance, but with compassion. In a surreal spiritual sequence, Jiji and Evil Eye face each other in a mirrored realm. The creature taunts him, showing twisted versions of his past. But Jiji stands firm. You are my pain. But you're not all of me. He embraces the entity not literally, but spiritually, and the monster screams, its form beginning to unravel. The curse cannot survive acceptance. Momo regains consciousness just in time to witness the fusion. Evil Eye is drawn back into Jiji, but this time not as a parasite, but as a part of him under control. But it's not over. The other awakened. Yokai, now feeding on the residual energy, begin to converge into a single, massive curse, a monstrosity the size of a building, made of bone, fire, and thousands of screaming faces. This was the true danger. The Evil Eye was merely a catalyst. The priestess warns them. This is a curse created by collective human fear and anger. It cannot be exorcised. It must be contained or destroyed. Momo and Okarun and the newly reawakened. Jiji, now with partial control over his spiritual eye, prepare for one last stand. Their teamwork shines. Okarun uses his speed to confuse the beast, striking its limbs. Jiji fires beams from his cursed eye-controlled now homed. Momo channels her full power into a sealing charm passed down from her grandmother. The sequence is chaotic, emotionally raw, and visually stunning. Each strike they land is matched by painful flashbacks, reminders of what they're fighting for. Their home, their bond, their humanity. In the final move, Momo leaps through the air, charm glowing white-hot, and slams it into the heart of the monster. A blinding explosion engulfs the mountain. Silence follows. As the dust clears, the teen lies exhausted, but alive. The barrier holds. The curse is sealed. The scorched earth still smolders as dawn breaks over the shattered remains of the town's outskirts. Momo, Okarun, and Jiji lie bruised and battered beneath the broken torii gate, their breaths shallow but victorious. The sealed curse beneath them now rests dormant, bound by layers of spiritual energy and centuries-old sigils, reinforced by the priestess and her allies. But the war is far from over. Its aftermath brings new questions, and its scars are slow to fade. Jiji wakes first. His right eye is intact, but different now, its glow dimmed, its energy stabilizing. For the first time since the possession began, his voice sounds like his own. He stares at his reflection in a shard of broken glass, half expecting to see the monster again, but all he sees is himself. Momo approaches him, her face still bruised, her spirit quiet but strong. "You're back," she says softly. And he is. But he's changed. The group returns to Tokyo, but their homecoming is far from normal. News of the mountain earthquake spreads, covered up by a convenient natural disaster explanation. But spiritually sensitive individuals know better. The cursed site is now under permanent observation by the spiritual network, and the team is recognized as unofficial guardians of the barrier. Momo, once impulsive and sharp-tongued, begins to show signs of deeper maturity. Her bond with Jiji deepens not romantically, but emotionally tied by the trauma they shared. Okarun watches quietly, a twinge of jealousy in his eyes, but says nothing. Instead, he throws himself into his training, determined not to fall behind. He still bears scars from the battle, both physical and mental, but his resolve has never been stronger. At school, the three do their best to blend back into daily life. But things have changed. They see shadows moving in corners more often than before. Momo's spiritual senses are sharper, even overwhelming at times. Jiji, now semi-possessed but stable, begins to attract spirits unintentionally, some seeking help, others sensing power. Okarun begins to research other yokai attracted to cursed energy, suspecting that Evil Eye's awakening may have disturbed more than just one mountain. And one evening, as they walk home from school, a strange figure appears. A young woman, dressed in white robes, bearing a mask with no eye holes. She stands perfectly still in the center of the sidewalk. People walk around her as if she doesn't exist. Only the three of them can see her. Momo instinctively steps forward, but Jiji feels at first his eye pulses. She's not human, he says. The woman speaks without moving her lips. You have seen what lies beneath. Now you must choose what lies beyond. She vanishes, no trace, no spiritual residue, just a chill that creeps up their spines. The message is clear: something bigger is coming. This encounter sets off the final emotional turn of the season. Each character begins to face their own inner ghosts. Jiji struggles with his role as both victim and host, wondering if he truly controls the evil eye, or if it's merely biding its time. Okarun confronts his growing insecurity, not just in power, but in place. His connection with Momo feels threatened, distant, and Momo herself begins having visions, brief flashes of possible futures. Futures filled with war, loss, and something darker than curses: human malice. One night, during a routine spirit patrol, they find a boy no older than 10, floating above a sidewalk, eyes glowing purple, whispering the names of people who died decades ago. He's not possessed, he is the spirit, the remnant of a forgotten massacre tied to a pre-war orphanage. He mistakes Momo for his sister. The confrontation is heartbreaking, forcing them to exorcise a soul not out of malice, but out of mercy. It's a moment that breaks Momo. She cries in silence that night, holding the boy's discarded ribbon. The season builds to its emotional climax during a massive yokai convergence. The spiritual balance of the city begins to break as minor entities, previously dormant, start emerging with aggression. It's not natural. Someone or something is waking them. Jiji's eye detects a pulse, an unnatural signal that matches the frequency of the evil eye. It's calling them. Their investigation leads them to an abandoned subway station, long closed and unmarked on maps. Underground, they find evidence of rituals, drawings in blood, offerings of bone, and dozens of hollow-eyed spiritual husks. At the center stands an altar bearing a symbol none of them recognize until the priestess arrives. Her face goes pale. That's not from this world? She whispers. It's from before. The season ends with a storm breaking over Tokyo. Spirits scream in the wind. The air thickens. And from beneath the city, something begins to stir. A voice echoes faintly, not from a ghost, not from a yokai, but from the collective fear of humanity. We remember. Momo, Okarun, and Jiji stand on the rooftop of their school, wind howling around them. Each bears a burden, but also a purpose. They know now that the evil eye was just the first fracture, and the world they thought they knew is only the surface of a much deeper, much older horror. But they're not afraid anymore, because now they are together.